Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so glad to have you here back again and watching my YouTube videos. I have to say guys, the support you guys always show me blows me out of the water. When I started this YouTube channel, I really thought I would be talking to myself in my little room, and I had all these fragrances that some people never had reviews about, and I was like, you know what, I'm sitting on a gem, because even though I wanted to put my comments on Fragrantica, I just felt like I don't have the time. I'm a yapper at heart, let me yap. So honestly, the fact that you've been loving them, the fact that you have been listening in and telling me your thoughts, honestly means the world to me. Today I wanted to share with you another fragrance that I absolutely bought. And you guys know whenever I start with my fragrances, like, I have to start with a story. Now, maybe let me probably introduce this baby. This is Nasheet. This is Nasheet by Lattafa. This fragrance took me a long time to figure out whether I should press the button on this baby or not. And to this day, I've been thinking, do I want another fragrance that smells quite similar to this? Because I do have some specific thoughts on this. But before we get there, I'll tell you guys a little bit of a story about this fragrance. So when I heard the hype, it was C Chronicles who started the hype, I believe. And she was like, this is Ani, this is Ani. And I had been learning about Ani online, and I was like, oh my God, like, this feels like the tea, this feels like everything. But Ani is so expensive. And maybe to other people, it's not, okay. Let me not say it's so expensive. It is pricey, but I do spend that same amount of money on like bulk buying. So really, I should say I'm not willing to pay one bottle of Ani. I know quality is great, but I'm just telling you guys my personality. So anyways, I was like, just the thought of that. And because I can't smell it anywhere near here, they've never had it in stock ever since it came out. And so I went to our local shop and I saw this. And I was like, this is my chance to smell it. I spray it, I smell it, and I hated it. I hated it so much. I sprayed it on my jacket and on my clothes, and I felt so sick. Oh my gosh, it made my stomach turn. It made my stomach turn so bad that I was like, what is this? And then the next day I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I couldn't stop thinking about it and thinking about it. And suddenly I was like absolutely romanticizing the notes that I absolutely hated. I don't know what happened between those hours, because again, this fragrance is not a beast mode fragrance. It does not last. This fragrance is like, I know I'm jumping ahead, but like, it's like 4 hours when you first get it, and then stretches to 6 maybe after it's matured, but it's not crazy. And so you can imagine, it honestly didn't take a long time for me to enjoy this fragrance. I had 2 hours tops to fully enjoy the projection of this fragrance that day. So, and anyways, I waited for a little bit, because when it came out and the hype was there, it was starting to sell for €40. And you guys know how I feel about the hype and buying fragrances. Like, sometimes I do want to get like fragrances so I can review them for you guys and you can hear while they're hyped up. But I am kind of split between being true to myself and how I want to spend my money and actually providing a bit of value. And I know that there must be a balance in between there, honestly. But until I figure that out, or I figure out a balance that works for me, I will not be buying full bottles during the hype. And you know what? That was one of the best decisions I've made, because I think I ended up buying it for something like €20. And now you can get it even cheaper for like €17, €16. And for €16, and the quality of this fragrance, unmatched. The quality of this fragrance beats so many fragrances in my collection. This could easily, in my opinion, be one of my favorite Lattafa fragrances, if not the favorite Lattafa fragrance. Every time I put this on, compliments galore. I really mean that. The only problem is I have to bring it with me. And you know, I could sit here and complain about that issue, but to be honest, I could also be grateful, because I feel like if they made it stronger, it wouldn't be as well blended as for this fragrance. Now, I've gone on and talked about a lot of bits, but I haven't actually talked about the notes. Okay, the opening has some gaiac wood, and in the middle notes you have some nutmeg, and then in the base notes you have frankincense, cashmere, and some sandalwood. These fragrance, honestly, the first things you smell is like, it's like a hotel vanilla fragrance. There's definitely some notes that are missing here because there is these green herbal notes in this fragrance, and it's not from the nutmeg. It feels so leafy and so like, I feel like saying almost that there's cumin or something. Like, these spices, I kind of associate them with Indian food or Indian cuisine, like cumin, just that, like that side of spiciness and herbalness. And also particularly because I find that in Indian cooking, like, I know in India is so big, like, I don't mean like restaurant food. I mean, like, I'm talking from like my own experience, though I don't know about, like, you know, the specific places, but they have a specific way of mixing up spices in a way that to me would always be contradictory the way I see it, because sometimes you have mint and something like absolutely like, you know, like cumin or a super strong spice like rosemary. In my head, obviously that's I can't cook, so I can't even tell you, but I hope you're getting what I'm meaning. And then they'll mix it with something sweet, so it's just something that's so far from my palate. And I feel like that's what made my stomach turn initially. There's a kind of spices that you just wouldn't combine together if you were given the time, and then they're made sweet. So it kind of smells like a spicy sweet. Kind of, but not really, because the vanilla here is an unsweetened vanilla. That is another thing that I learned when I fell in love with this fragrance. And so it's sweet in the sense of like you can tell that there's vanilla essence, but it's not at its core like sweet. It's almost like a fluffy cake vanilla that has only vanilla essence, if that makes sense. And I feel like the frankincense is what also adds to that texture of this off vanilla. Yeah, it honestly smells like a little bit of a gone off vanilla. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but that's really what made my stomach turn at the beginning. And then you have some sandalwood that kind of grounds everything. It's kind of smooth. And then you have some cashmere. Now, if I had one thing to say about this fragrance is when you feel it, when you smell it on the cap, right now it smells a little bit metallic. So typical Lattafa. But that is literally only on the cap. When it is in air and on your skin, it's one of the smoothest fragrances alive. You don't even smell that metallic vibe, even up to close to your skin. Like, it just diffuses. The only problem is it becomes a true skin scent way too early. By the time you want to like really enjoy it, the projection is gone. And so for this specific reason, I have considering whether I wanted to get Spectra Ghost. And to be honest, I've heard that it really cuts Ani short. And I'm really scared that they will mess around with that herbal note, which is one of my favorite parts of the fragrance. I feel like it makes this fragrance so unique. There is nothing I've ever smelled that's like this fragrance. And quite honestly, it's made me even more certain I need Nishane Ani in my fragrance. The only thing I'm waiting for is to see it on sale, and I will run to get it. Like, because at this point, I do not want a 50 ml. And I know that's greedy of me to say, but I don't want a 50 ml. I want a 100 ml because I know that's a fragrance I will love for life. And I've heard it's a beast. And you know how I feel about the beasts. The beasts are the way to my heart. And so, yeah. So for a while, I did play around with that thought, but like my fragrance list wish list has grown so much that I'm not even gonna bat an eyelid. If I'm happy with this, I'm happy with this. Until this is gone, then we'll start talking about what I want to do. But quite honestly, once this is gone, I hope I'll be in a position to get Nishane Ani, the real thing. But yeah, this is one of my favorite fragrances. It is a much older fragrance. This is definitely black tie type of fragrance. Like, it is hard to wear without leaving a fancy impression. This definitely makes you feel miles out of your tax bracket. Like, I mean, it adds zeros, absolute zeros. How many zeros? More zeros than Creed Aventus would. A lot more zeros than that. A lot more zeros than what's a super fancy fragrance that I'm like, oh my god, like more than Oud Satin Mood. Like a lot of zeros, like a lot of zeros to your name. Like, because you just smell so unique. You smell like somewhere that people cannot afford. I kind of love that. I kind of love that. For 16 euro, I bring me to that place. Bring me to that place that people have never been. In fact, the place that I've personally never been. But yeah, when it comes to age, I think this definitely would not settle well with any person who is new to fragrances, who does not like niche fragrances. And when I say niche, I mean the more artistic fragrances, because we all know that like some niches are just, you know, basic. But I mean more artistic fragrances. If you're not into that, if you're not into more masculine leaning fragrances, even though it's technically kind of a gourmand, really it takes like a herbal side. So you have to be able to settle yourself with that a little bit. The herbalness is not specifically like the green that you get in like men's fragrances, but it is herbal in the sense of like, I'm thinking mint leaves, I'm thinking like green spicy leaves. Yeah, so you need to be okay with that. And yeah, it could make your stomach turn. So because of that, I wouldn't say it's a safe blind buy. But if you know you want a different vanilla to everything else, I think it's worth a try. Worst case scenario, you can gift it. I even though I think it's hard to love, I've had so many people stop me and ask me what it is. That I almost think it might be pretty easy to gift. So yeah, this is Nasheet. Let me know, have you smelt this? Have you smelt Ghost Spectra? Am I making a good decision when I say I do not want to replace that fragrance with this? No, sorry, I don't want to replace this fragrance with that. And have you smelled Ani? Have you ever smelled this? Do you think they're quite close? Yeah, let me know what you think. Is there any fragrances that you feel take vanilla to a whole different realm and just ace it the way Ani does? Because I know that's one of my favorite parts of this fragrance. If I could find fragrances that take vanilla and make it go crazy, I would. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and please stick around, watch more videos. Let me know what you want to hear from me. And until next time, bye.